Good morning, everyone. It's Monday, May 15th, 2017. My name is Cheryl Moore, and I am a social worker and holistic health practitioner in Midland, Ontario. I've been working this year on a series of videos to bring together two topics which I love, the chakras and essential oils. And this is a third in that series. I had plans on doing the chakras, looking at them and exploring them in order, which would mean that I would be looking at the third chakra today, which is the solar plexus. But I have decided instead to actually focus on the heart. I'm focusing on the heart for a couple of reasons. One is that yesterday was Mother's Day here in Canada, and as I reflect on the gifts that my mother brought to me in my life and on the beautiful gifts of Mother Earth as she sustains us all, it occurs to me that the feminine energy, the right brain, nurturing, love, kindness, compassion, that this is what's pivotal in our energy field at this particular moment in time. I'm also choosing to focus on the heart because it is spring, and although it's been a little delayed, finally here where I live, the buds are finally coming out on the trees, and so we are surrounded by green everywhere. And again, in terms of the beauty of Mother Earth, green is the color of the heart center. One of the greatest ways that we can heal the heart is actually by connecting to the color green and to the Mother Earth. And I know it's a time when lots of us are getting out for walks, we're spending more time outside, and so it made sense to me for a couple of different reasons to focus on the heart. So what is our heart center all about when it comes to the chakras? Well, understandably, it makes sense that it's all about love. It is really fundamentally in our healthiest state, really about self-love and our ability to extend unconditional love toward ourselves. So from that place, thinking about, do we have the opportunity to fully experience our human journey from an emotional place? For me, an open heart means the full range of emotion. It means experiencing the duality of humanity, which might mean love on one side, moments of pure joy, bliss, and beauty, and sorrow, despair, sadness, grief, loss on the other. Those are hard, but the truth is one does not come without the other. If we love, then there will be moments in time when we feel sorrow. And an open, healthy heart allows itself a full experience. An open, healthy heart does not block or flow the energy that it does not want to be acquainted with. So emotions are energy, thoughts are energy, and we want to be able to walk through this world with full expression. That being said, in my counseling practice and in my personal life, I do know that the reality is on the human journey that all of us will sustain experiences of grief. And grief and trauma, whatever they may be about, whether that's loss through death, a relationship, loss of our health, loss of a job, loss of a home, loss of self-esteem, whatever it is, those things impact the heart center. And how we process that experience can make a difference in whether the heart center stays fully open. There are many times when, for survival, the heart wants to block, the heart wants to protect, the heart wants to shut down. And when we work with the chakras, we try to clear those blocks. We try to bring ourselves back to a full state of vibrant living and vibrant health. If we stay blocked long enough, it's always important to remember with respect to the chakras that we can manifest states of dis-ease in our body. And so beyond just the closing off of our emotions or our thoughts or having times in our life when we walk through the world feeling a bit numb, we can also create issues here in the heart, the lungs, the upper back, the breast area. So this can become a place where blocked energy gets in the way and creates potentially some physical distress for us. So just to really bring home the point of what I've learned the past little while about how connected we truly are to our emotions and our thoughts, I wanted to share a couple of book references and start off today with a quote. The quote's from Carolyn Myss. She's one of my favorite authors in the personal and spiritual growth arena, and it is this, with respect to our chakras. Every thought and experience you've ever had in your life gets filtered through these chakra databases. Each event is recorded into our cells. You may or may not believe that, but the truth is there's an expanding field of study now known as epigenetics, which is actually beginning to document the ways in which energy of emotion and energy of thought are stored in the body on a cellular level. There are many great books in that regard, but here's one that came into my awareness last fall. I was attending a conference, a palliative care conference here in our local community, and a native speaker was speaking about trauma and resiliency. And she mentioned a book called Heart Code. And Heart Code is actually a book, a scientific book, that documents the many, many instances in which organs have been transplanted into other people, and the memories from the person from whom they came have been transplanted along with them. Of course, Heart Code being heart transplant, most familiar, but we also transplant, kidneys, lungs, and other parts of our body. And it is becoming increasingly common that the people who receive that new organ have memories and experiences associated with the person who gave it to them. This is not a Hollywood movie. This is epigenetics. And so we begin to consider the idea that experiences become a part of our DNA, become a part of our genetic makeup. So we may even begin to consider the possibility, which was presented at this conference, which is a belief in Native tradition, that the generations before us, through DNA, through genes, through blood, also transfer their experiences, their memories, their triggers, if you will, through babies to us, and that we carry perhaps the issues of generations past. So if you are a person who has a family from whom there has been a survivor story that is of great significance, it may be a part of your world, not only because you've heard the story, but in fact because it is a part of your own cellular makeup. And that, of course, means we need to think about healing. We need to think about clearing. We need to think about fully vibrant health from the perspective of clearing the present, but also clearing the past. And so working on ourselves to always be aware, to always be intuitive, to always be insightful about what's going on and the places in our body where we are storing things, and finding ways to move that energy healthily aside so that we can carry on. In my counseling practice, I use the quote a lot: heal the present and heal the past. It seems like it's never been more important now that we begin to understand what that truly means in a very deep way. Another book I'd like to bring to your attention that came on my radar after 9/11 is a book by David Hawkins, also a doctor. It's called Power versus Force. And he actually has calibration equipment around the world, and he is capable of capturing the Earth's energy depending on the emotional vibration connected to that particular part of the planet. So this came on my radar after 9/11 because we all thought, or perhaps the terrorists thought, that they would invoke a fear-based, a shock-based response, which in the land of calibration and what it does to the earth and to each of us individually and collectively as groups, if we are down here in anger, fear, hatred, shock, we will have a closed heart, and our vibration in terms of our calibration for good chi, good prana, good life force will be low. If we are at a threshold of love, joy, bliss, the experiences of higher functioning in terms of our emotional center, then we tend to vibrate at a higher rate. Again, I am talking about calibrated equipment that can measure this. So after 9/11, the idea, the thought, the intention, I'm sure, was that the fear and the shock of that would throw New York City and the United States into a low vibration. But in actual fact, what David Hawkins measured on his instrumentation was that within just a couple of days, the exact opposite was true. The American people, the American earth, was vibrating at its highest level ever. And I really believe, as I look back on that time, that it's because the entire country put aside all their differences and they came together in one united front to recreate unity, to establish themselves as a connected community. And in addition to that, the world prayed with them. The world supported them. There were rescue workers, firefighters, paramedics, etc., from all over that went to assist, that sent with that the loving energy of the country from where they came. And so, with all of the energy around the world that supported the American people at that time, we actually raised them into the love vibration. We actually brought them to a very healthy state of living and vibration. So again, these are documented scientific ways in which we really do understand that emotions are energy, thoughts are energy. We can measure that in our body. We are a mass being that is energy in motion, as is the earth, as are all things on the earth. So the heart is pivotal. The heart is important. Healing the heart is important. So a fully healthy heart, what is a fully healthy heart? A fully healthy heart for me, from a chakra perspective, is keeping ourselves open to the full expression, keeping ourselves open to the potential to feel the full range of human emotion. So we don't want to block ourselves, even though it's very common that we will in times when we are trying to survive. We want to be able to experience love and sorrow. They go together. But most especially in the heart, we want to be able to feel self-love. And ideally, we want to be able to feel and express unconditional love toward the self. That may seem like a heavy slate, but I know that it's possible, and it's certainly what I invite for all of you, and I hope that you can embrace. So the question is, how do we heal the heart? So I mentioned surrounding yourself in the color green, which is a beautiful way to do that, but there are many other ways you can work with affirmations if you are so inclined. That would be love-based focused. I feel love toward myself and others. I feel love toward the planet. You can be in nature. That will certainly help. But I want to talk today specifically about essential oils because I do love my work as a doTERRA wellness advocate, and I am very much aware of the ways that oils can assist. So on an individual basis, I would like to suggest to you that there are 3 oils particularly helpful for the heart. One, just to turn the bottle so you can see the label. One is ylang ylang, and ylang ylang actually has particular energy in it that will assist with inner child wounds. So if you feel like your heart is blocked from long-standing family of origin issues, ylang ylang might be the choice that you want to consider. It's in the flower arena, quite strong in terms of its aroma, but it is a beautiful healing energy for inner child, and it has a bit of an earthy scent as well, so I quite like it. The other 2 that are very good for heart are geranium and lime, and you can use them separately, but I suggest you use them together, and the reason being that geranium is a very strong musky scent. It doesn't appeal to everyone. The lime tends to soften it a little bit. That bringing the citrus into the geranium tends to bring a lighter sense to these 2 aromas, and together they create quite a beautiful effect for the heart. So these would be your possibilities with individual oils that I might suggest from a heart chakra perspective might be of help. But I also want to bring to you a couple of blends that I really love. I actually use these blends a lot. You can get the oils separately in a bottle and use them straight up, but I actually have them available to me in roller bottle, and so I use them, if you want to call it that, like my pure fume. So one of these is Forgive. I absolutely love Forgive. So if the way in which your heart has become blocked for whatever experience has left you with any kind of sense of residual anger, resentment, or frustration, and that's what's keeping you from full expression, then I really encourage Forgive. And Console is for people who are going through an immediate experience of grief and loss, or potentially multiple experiences of that have not healed. So both of these are beautiful, and how I use these oils with the roller is I actually put them on my heart, and I actually make a heart shape with them. In sacred geometry, we know that shapes can have an impact on our cellular being as well. So Forgive, I want to let you know that there are some studies showing that there have been some great results working with people with post-traumatic stress using Forgive. And through my work in stress management, I know that if you do something every day for 21 days, there's a reasonably good chance that you will have a healing effect from that. You're creating a new habit, if you will. So I have actually used Forgive Myself in this way, morning and evening for 21 days when I was trying to move through my own intense experience following the grief of my mom a year and a half ago. And I have since gifted that oil to several friends who have experienced significant loss, and I have also used it as an adjunct in my practice for clients. And I am here to tell you that it works. I'm here to tell you that a lot of clearing can come from allowing these oils, these beautiful blends, these pure therapeutic grade blends to assist in bringing emotions to the surface. Long held, long repressed, long stuffed emotions, if you will, to the surface so that you can move that energy, so that you can create a clearing. And if you're interested, just so you know, in the Forgive blend, there's a number of essential oils in that blend, but the primary ones are bergamot, juniper, myrrh, arbor vitae, thyme, and citronella. It's very grassy and earthy and herbaceous in its smell. I've always been drawn to those scents, so I quite like it. And console is frankincense, patchouli, ylang-ylang, which I mentioned earlier, rose, sandalwood. Those are the primary ingredients. There's a few others as well, but that's the blend that brings it together. I want to speak to you particularly in relation to healing the heart and aromatherapy about what is happening when you take an aroma in through a diffuser or just into your hands with a cup inhale, or however it is that you bring that smell into your brain. Fundamentally is what you're doing to create the energetic shift. So what happens in aromatherapy is that we access the limbic system, and we do that through the sense of smell. Of our 5 senses, smell is actually the strongest, the most immediate. And what happens when we smell something is that really subconsciously, without us really having any control over it whatsoever, we are in fact triggering a response. And that response potentially is based on the ways in which we have smelled that smell before in our life. And so we have a reaction. We have a reaction to say that we like that smell or we don't like that smell. And even though we know it could be good for us, we can't contain that trigger. We can't contain that response. And so you have to work with that in terms of the healing. So for example, if I can give you a small example, you might take geranium, which is a really strong, pungent smell, and you might smell it and go, "Ooh, I don't like that at all. That's really pungent. It doesn't appeal to me." Or you might take that, you might smell it, and you might go, "Oh, this reminds me of my grandmother. Geraniums were her favorite flower, and she always planted them in her garden every spring." In which case your response, what you're invoked in your brain is going to be quite different. So the same thing happens with trauma. If there were smells around us at the time that we stored this memory in our body, that can be triggered through the limbic system, through the brain. And so we can use that to bring those memories to the surface and to create the opportunity of healing. So this is the power of the limbic system and therefore the power of aromatherapy. So I don't want you to poo-poo the idea that the actual use of something as a scent, as a smell, has the capacity to create great healing in your body. So by using it in the diffuser, as I said, a cup inhale, or putting it on the body at the place of the heart, you allow the opportunity to bring emotions up for release. The other thing I want to mention before I close off is that if you feel like you have something systemic happening to you on a physical level, if the things that you've carried in your heart have manifested a state of dis-ease in the body, and there is an impact on the heart, on the lungs, on the upper back, then you may wish to create a systemic response with the healing. And that can be done by placing the oil directly into the bottoms of your feet. So 1 or 2 drops into the bottom of each foot. Again, I would encourage you to choose an oil and to do this every day for 21 days. And then intuitively check in with yourself. Take a moment to breathe and see if there's been a shift on any level. Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Remember that we're holistic beings, so our healing happens on every level. When you place an oil into the bottom of your feet, it's the biggest pore in your body. It's therefore a very immediate systemic response. You are getting it into the bloodstream within, some people say within a matter of seconds, but certainly within a matter of minutes. So you can use these oils in so many beautiful and creative ways. I really encourage you to incorporate them into your life so that you can bring about a natural response, one that's not overly difficult or overly stressful. After all my years in counseling, I can tell you that we do tend to overanalyze. We do tend to be overly logical. We do tend to talk ourselves into oblivion. And it is not the be all and end all when it comes to healing. There are so many other ways to shift our energy through the color green, or whatever color it is that you're working on in your particular chakra, through affirmations, through essential oils. You can also shift chakras by eating the color food, wearing that color clothing, using crystals. There's many crystals equated to each of the chakras. There are sound vibrations equated. There are yogic positions equated. There are just so many ways to move energy from our body in a healthy way without having to overwork, without having to overthink. And I particularly encourage you to do that when it comes to the heart, because our heart is not about thinking. Our heart is about feeling. And I want you to feel. I want you to feel everything a human being is capable of feeling. And I want you to find the peace in that experience. So thanks for tuning in today. Thanks for listening to my heart chakra sharings. If you'd like any more information about myself, my practice, or doTERRA and their beautiful essential oils, please feel free to visit me at my website link, which is at the bottom of this post. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Following yesterday, I still wish you a happy Mother's Day, and I hope you embrace the feminine power of the greatest mother of all, our precious Earth. Bye for now.